Well, I've known John a long time, and I think once or twice I've heard him talk about someone saying they're going to do something, and Scott was one of these people, and it just so happens that John was right.
First time you played Group C, you won it. First time you played Group B, you won it. First time you played Group A, you've won it.
Yeah, today's going to be my day. It says, you're not getting the limelight for too long. It says, I'm just going to go and win it today. And it was so weird because obviously I just went and won it.
Hello, welcome along to the latest edition of the Tungsten Talk here at the MODUS Super Series, where we get to know some of the stars of the competition just that little bit better. Today we're joined by a man whose 2025 has been very, very strong here. Winner of a week, a man who has shone in a 9-dart shootout as well. Scott Cambpell is alongside myself and Paul Nicholson in the studio today. First of all, what does this place mean to you, the Live Lounge in Portsmouth?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's just been like a stepping stone to, obviously, hopefully, onto maybe a tour card like Adam Lipscomb's done in the past, and obviously a few more players as well. Just gives you that more experience on a stage all the time.
As this competition, as the Super Series, giving you the opportunity to really grow as a player, maybe grow yourself in terms of a darting sense, but also grow your name as well as a player?
Yeah, social media wise and stuff is obviously huge. So the more I'm down here, the more exposure I'm getting, more tournaments I'm going to. I'm just getting my name out there now and really enjoying it.
First time we saw Scott was a couple of years ago under a massive recommendation from John Henson. He played a couple of weeks before and he was bigging you up prior to your first appearance here. And I think straight away we saw why that was the case.
Yeah, John doesn't really recommend a great deal of people. So when he comes up with a recommendation, it's a bit like when Paul Hinks was talking about Sam Spivey. You think, well, Paul doesn't come out with these kind of recommendations lightly. And neither does Hendo. I've known John a long time. And I think once or twice I've heard him talk about someone saying they're going to do something. And Scott was one of these people. And it just so happens that John was right. And John's usually right about everything he does.
Just describe your relationship with Hendo.
Yeah, John's known me from I was 14, 15, a couple of little WDF tournaments when I played them years and years ago. I don't really see too much of John, obviously with being up in Huntly, but yeah, every time we see each other, it's just like, just another day.
Let's get back to the beginning then, and where did darts start for yourself?
Probably about 14 or 15, I was playing lots of youth stuff, and then it kind of just slowed down a little bit. I wasn't travelling, I was just playing in the local pubs, but playing in the local pubs isn't really doing nothing for you. If you're wanting to push yourself further, I wasn't travelling anymore, then got working, then kind of just never really thought about it again. Now we're here.
So what was the spark then? What was the catalyst to kind of say, do you know what, I'm gonna give it another go again?
Seeing Sean McDonald being out of the game for 10 years, and then obviously COVID struck, and then MODUS Super Series has obviously been formed, and Sean's playing on the Super Series. I'm like, wait a minute, I need to start practicing here. That's exactly what I want to do.
How many players have we heard this story from now? Lockdown, just giving a spark. It started careers. It's told players that haven't played for a while when they had that free time to play again. Seemingly, as horrible a time it was, it's given us talents or regained talents that we wouldn't have seen again otherwise.
It's so true. I think that the grander story of darts in this generation can come back to the fact that when you've played youth darts like Scott has and the likes of Sean Mack has, he came back, he had a great time of it in our previous studio in Southampton, and when you see someone that you hung around when you were a youngster and you think, hang on a minute, I was as good as he was, why can't I do that if I commit myself a little bit more? And it was the same for me. When I saw Kevin McDine make the Grand Slam semis in 2007, that had a profound effect on my life. It made me think, hang on, I was better than he was. So why can't I do it? And then next thing you know, you're talking about Scott doing the same as Sean, but you're right about COVID. When people were at home, they had a bit more time to practice and they weren't distracted by a great deal of work outside of the house, so they had a chance to figure out how good they could be.
Did the darts click straight away then when you started throwing again?
No, not at all. It was opposite. Before COVID, just wasn't playing well at all. It was like finding excuses not to go to darts rather than just keep playing. So when obviously COVID hit, then I started practicing. It was 6, maybe 8 months, and then everything was just going in. I was like, oh, wait a minute, now it's going.
And then is that then at that point suddenly the spark to think, do you know what, I'm going to then have a little go, maybe have a look at the tour, maybe have a go at Q School, those sorts of things?
Yeah, well, Q School was like one of the only things you could go to, obviously through COVID, all the bubbles and stuff like that. So it was literally, just enter Q School. If you can't do nothing else, let's just go and play darts.
And Q School is one of those where, is it fair to categorise it as a little bit of a love-hate relationship?
Yeah, I love stage 1. Stage 2's terrible. Like stage 1, the last couple of years, I've absolutely breezed it. And then stage 2, it's like a different player. It's like thrown with someone else's arm. Just hasn't worked at all yet.
But what has happened, I suppose, elsewhere is the Challenge Tour is something that's picked up for yourself. Here you've been able to get better and better. And has it felt like that the last few years has been a case of you incrementally improving? Because the results certainly look as if that's the case.
Yeah, when you're down here, obviously, you lose a first game or whatever like that, you've got a couple more days to pull out the bag. Challenge tours and Q schools and stuff. If you're out, you're out. So it's a little bit less pressure here, I think, anyway, but you just need to start focusing and get going really quick when you're at that kind of thing.
Let's talk about some of the other things then that you've done. And I want to talk about Scotland because I know you have a massive pride in terms of being the captain of that team. First of all, do you remember where you were when you got the phone call to say that, Scott, we want you to captain this team? Yeah,
it was actually just at a Sunday league competition in one of the bars in Aberdeen. Everybody else had their phone call. I actually thought, something I maybe not done enough this year in the WDF side, probably not be in the team, and then it was a phone call. Yeah, you're the last call. We also want you to be captain. So that was a nice touch. It was good.
Do you remember your first cap?
Ooh, my first cap. No.
No. We do. We've looked it up this morning. We know that your first game was against Wolfie.
Martin Adams.
Yeah.
Baptism of fire.
I do remember that because the walk-on, we were in Merthyr Tydfil actually, and we walked on, it was his music, it was played. I was like, oh, no way. It was good. It was really good. Everybody was moaning about it, but I loved it. It's Martin Adams. He's just a legend, isn't he? So,
just easing your way into international life.
Yeah, there you go. You got Wolfie first. Yeah.
And you've had some battles, haven't you, over your time playing for Scotland? You've played some great players in British internationals, whether it be in other competitions. Just describe that pride that goes into representing your country, and I suppose in particular captaining your country too.
Yeah, I don't think nobody really realises until you're actually selected for your country, and then once you're actually there, the feeling that it brings. It's just different. It's like you're not playing for money, you're representing your country. Yeah, it's just totally weird. I can't really even explain it. Just a total different feel.
And I suppose as well, it's a big year this year. There's a World Cup on the horizon in South Korea. Is that one of those goals that you're kind of looking at for 2025, captaining Scotland at a World Cup?
Yeah, it'd be nice. I still have to make that team, but I've already said if I'm not selected for that team, I'm captain. So I'll do the job for the year. So I'll just make my own way there. Support the rest of the team.
I get the feeling it's going to be a very popular World Cup amongst players, particularly when you think about the location of it in South Korea. The World Cups in the Far East tend to be well attended most of the time anyway.
Yeah, these are very special occasions. Now, you can think what you like about the WDF system at the minute. It has its faults, but the one thing that they tend to get right are things like Europe Cup and the World Cup. When you have them in far-flung locations, I mean, Hendo talks about when he went to Charlotte about 20 years ago. He said it was an incredible trip. You can go to Canada, you can go to Australia, Malaysia, places in Asia like South Korea, they don't come along very often. They had a World Cup there in Japan in 2017, but Scotland didn't even send a team. So when you have the opportunity to do something like this, you've got to grab it with both hands, because you never know what could happen. You could become World Cup singles champion, and that could change your life. It did for Jeff Smith when he won in Kobe. It's happened for other people in the past. So when something like this comes around, you grasp it.
Let's get back to you and let's talk the more recent then. First of all, how would you describe your 2025 season so far?
With the trophies, obviously, I've picked up the Super Series, the Challenge Tour. That's been huge, but it's still been up and down. It's still not been where I want to be. It's okay going and posting 100 average, but then there's no point in then going posting a 70. It's just, you're just not going to get away with it.
Well, let's talk about your Challenge Tour title then, because that's one of the real highlights of the year. Going into that particular tournament, was there a sense, was there a feeling that something good could click today? What was the feelings prior to that tournament getting underway?
It was actually the day before, so there was a tournament in Aberdeen, and I was speaking to Jamie Bain, and he'd actually had a 9-darter the day before in our tournament, and we always bounce off each other, and it was just like, yeah, today's going to be my day. I says, you're not getting the limelight for too long. I says, I'm just going to go and win it today, and it was so weird, because obviously I just went and won it, and with a little bit of banter later on at night.
And not just did you win it, but there was a comprehensive style in which you won it, because there was a fair few games in and amongst that run, which, I mean, there was a couple of 5-0s in there. You didn't just win it, you kind of bolstered your way towards winning it. You set a stall out in winning that tournament.
Yeah, there was a couple of games I maybe got away with a match dart, but it was quite consistent 90 averages during the day. Just I didn't feel uncomfortable at all that day. It just felt like everything was going to go in. I think it was after I beat Ted. I think I played Ted Evans, and once I'd beaten Ted, it was like, yeah, I've got this. I'm winning this today.
And obviously, when you win a Challenge Tour, you then get the call up to the Pro Tour. What are them experiences like?
It's different. It's more business like. It doesn't feel like obviously like a Challenge Tour. Mm-hmm. Obviously, less players in the room. It is very business like. Then obviously the draws are out a lot earlier and stuff like that as well. Less players to check in, and then yeah, you get Chris Dobey first game. Welcome to the Pro Tour, eh? But yeah, it's definitely where I want to be. Loved it.
You've played 7 of them now. Do you feel like you're a little bit more at home with that kind of setup?
Some people click right away. I tend to take a little bit longer with stuff like that. I genuinely felt it was like my first Challenge Tour all over again, playing that Pro Tour. So I think it will take me a wee bit of time, but if I can get there, I think I'll be all right, because now I've had that little bit of experience of it.
There's a question also for a lot of players who are coming through, and they all say the same thing. I will only play my best darts when I feel I belong here. Now, maybe Scott is warming up to this. In this place, we know he belongs here because he's been to the final game. We've seen what he's done in the 9-dart shootout and international pairs. So there is that element of comfort. But when you go to a Pro Tour venue, if you look around and you see on one side you got Luke Humphreys and you got Gezi Price on the other, and you think, hang on a minute, what am I doing here? There will come a time where you just walk in and you don't look at faces anymore. You're so concentrated on the job, and that time will come.
You say it sometimes takes you a while to settle in, but it can't be said about here, because you've got this incredible record at the Super Series. First time you played Group C, you won it. First time you played Group B, you won it. First time you played Group A, you've won it. In that first appearance then, what clicked so quickly for yourself in terms of the surroundings, the environment? Because I suppose playing in an event like this in front of the cameras and the lights is probably still a little bit new for you, despite the fact you played in your country.
If I'm being honest, it wasn't so much like the venue or anything else. It was actually Colin Osborne. Like, I was coming down here, was really nervous. The day before, Colin's obviously just come out of the building. He was like, yeah, come up and meet the lads, most of them are in here. And that really settled me in right away, just knowing fine. Just everybody was a nice guy, and helped. Willie Borland was here as well, who I got on with really well. So it was, yeah, just a game of darts, or trying to just treat it just like a game of darts.
You might want to throw something else on the fire, Henry, because the first time you played in Group A in pairs, you won that as well. So is there anything else that you haven't done for the first time, Scott, that you'd like to achieve?
Not really sure. We need to come up with another specials week somewhere. Yeah, I don't know how. every group I've won, I think maybe Group C, I think I deserved, and then I think Derek kind of let my way with Group B. I think it was Derek, that might have been Group A, I can't remember, but kind of just snuck along and picked out wins and got across the line.
Group A is very good. Even if you're 100 to 1, I don't know what Murphy was on about that morning, that's for sure. Let's talk about your weekly win then, because usually in here it's quiet during the week, there's no fans in, but you had the opposite end of the scale when you played Peter Rachuri. What was the atmosphere like for that final? Because I can imagine you probably knew, as soon as you were getting Peter in the final, you knew, right, they are going to go for him. I'm going to be the guy they're not going to like. Like, do you have to almost prepare with that in mind?
Yeah, like when I played him in the group, I knew, like obviously then, that it was going to be tough. But I wasn't even focused. When I played Peter, I was more excited that I knew I was through. So there was no focus there at all. And then it was, wait a minute, if I'm going to beat Kev in the semi and then play in the final, obviously Colin or Peter, says you need to change this very quickly. Yeah, it's just in practice room, different setup, different routine.
And then from that into Champions. So first of all, what was that like to play in the Champions Week?
Yeah, most of the guys I knew as well, so I just tried to treat it like another week rather than looking at it like Champions Week, just a bonus week with no pressure. I didn't just try to avoid the Champions Week thoughts, and obviously the prize money is a lot bigger, but just try and get that out of your head and go for it.
Right, let's go there. Jensen Walker, semi-final. Obviously, you had that opportunity to take the lead in that semi-final. Is there a little bit of you that thinks what if, or is that just by the by now?
No, it's gone. If you start analysing games that you lose, then it's a waste of time. You're just going to lose even more. Yeah, Jensen was due one. I'd already done him 3 times that week, so he was due one back.
And then the international pace, obviously because of what you did here, you got the invitation to play in that particular tournament. And then we get another crazy Saturday night, a Saturday night that involves a 9-dart shootout.
Yeah.
2 180s. I mean, can the script get any better than that?
Yeah, it was just chucking a couple of 180s and make sure we're in the semi-final. Me and John was having a little laugh in the practice room. He was like, yeah, we'll just hit a couple of 180s and a 141. I was like, well, where's your 141 at the end, John? He was wanting another 3 darts.
Bonkers, right, isn't it? 2 180s and a 9-dart shootout, particularly when you've only got 6 darts as well.
Yeah, there can't be many players who played pairs who can say they've had back-to-back 180s with somebody else's turn in the middle. It's an upset of the rhythm because you've got to spend more time thinking about what you're going to do next. And there aren't many players who have actually been part of a 9-dart shootout on a Saturday night in this building. And Scott is one of only a few people who've been involved in that pairs 9-dart shootout, which is an incredible rarity. So to be able to find that kind of accuracy under that pressure with the rhythm disrupted just goes to show the kind of patience and composure that Scott has cultivated for himself over the last couple of years.
So what's next? What's the next chapter for Scott Cambpell?
It's obviously still quite early in the year, so as it says, we've got the Six Nations in a couple of weeks. I'm back here later in the year, challenge tours, maybe a couple more pro tours depending on invitations and stuff, and then go for Q School again.
Chasing the card?
I'm not going to say I'm chasing it. I'm quite happy. I'm probably still not consistent enough to have a tour card, if I'm being completely honest. But if you want to get better, you need to be playing better players all the time. So I wouldn't say no to it.
And I'll tell you what, this place will always be a happy home for you, whatever happens, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll be perfect. Yeah, I love it here. As I says earlier on, Adam Lipscomb's the same. Delighted he's got his tour card, but I know how much he misses being here as well.
Well, Scott, thank you very much for your time. Nice to delve a little bit deeper into your career, Nick. Thank you for your company as ever. And thank you for watching the Tungsten Talk here at the MODUS Super Series.